I'm Katherine, as I've already been introduced. Katherine Osborne from Norfolk Library and Information Service. I work as the volunteer coordinator within the service. So I'm working with library managers and our community librarians in the way that we work with volunteers across our libraries in Norfolk. We've got 47 different libraries. So we, over the last 10 years, plus now we have developed a volunteering program to sit alongside our paid staff and sort of enable a lot more activities to happen within libraries that otherwise we wouldn't be able to offer. As part of that, we have developed a strand of volunteer roles specifically for young people. So I'll be talking about working with young people, supporting young people, and specifically about safeguarding. I'm not sure who's doing. There we go. So we've got six main roles at the moment that we offer young people. We started out with the Summer Reading Challenge. It's always been our main role for young volunteers and a way for young people to get involved with the library service sort of through the summer. We've always run the Summer Reading Challenge, but we then wanted to branch out from that and have volunteer roles that we could offer throughout the year as well. We have a lot of young people that apply to do Duke of Edinburgh Award with us, so we wanted something that we could direct them to that was more of an activity rather than it feeling like work experience and them just helping around the library. So we run Lego clubs, we run craft clubs, we have reading group leaders who help with reading groups for young people, and we have young people who help with our code clubs that take place. They are just helping with the sessions rather than leading them, but it gives them a chance, if they've got an interest in technology, to get involved with that role. And then in February half term, we run DigiFest. We actually run it throughout February, but most of our young volunteers are getting involved in that half term. And DigiFest is all about technology and the things that are available now. Things like code clubs. We run sessions with little robots and kind of look at all that side of things. And the young volunteers help to support those activities that are taking place. So those are our main roles. If we move on. So when we're thinking about young volunteers, it's a very different approach to working with adults because of their age and because we're trying to offer them a role where they can. Volunteering is always a two-way thing, but with young people it's especially important. We're offering them the chance to build their skills. We aim to give young volunteers a very defined role so that they know exactly what they're signing up to. We have clear role descriptions, but then within that, we also allow for within a role there to be a bit of flexibility. So with the Summer Reading Challenge, if we have volunteers who apply who are really keen to get involved with the activity side of things, and they might be doing that. If they're more interested in just talking to people and signing people up to the challenge, that might be their main emphasis of the kind of role that they're doing throughout the summer. So yeah, having a defined role for volunteers is very important. We think about the ratios that we have. So the ratios that we have of staff that are present when our young volunteers are in for a session, the number of people that might be attending an activity, so it's not going to be too overwhelming. If it's an activity that people are booking in for, then that's very easy to manage. But if it's a kind of a drop-in session or something that people just turn up to, making sure that we've got enough staff and enough young volunteers that it's not going to be kind of something that we've got the right number of people for. And support for volunteers. What kind of support you can offer a young volunteer in the role. So that's from the start with the training, ongoing support throughout their time volunteering with you, making sure that they are really a part of the team, that they kind of know who they can talk to if they've got any concerns about things, checking in with them at the start and end of their volunteering sessions. and thinking about things like accreditation, so what you can offer a young person that they can use towards any goal that they might have identified. So whether it's kind of moving on to further education, just starting to build certain skills that they want to improve on. So thinking about the support that you have in place for young volunteers. So I'll move on to the safeguarding. Safeguarding is such a large subject that in 5 minutes there's only so much I can say about it. So I'm just going to give some kind of broad headers, and then we can use those as a starting point to kind of have the conversation and for people to feed back any kind of questions that they might have. So having in place a safeguarding policy is obviously, it's the cornerstone of how you work with young people. Obviously, within the library service, we're also thinking of safeguarding in terms of our staff and our customers as well. So everybody that's using our buildings and services. But we specifically think about young people when we're preparing risk assessments, make sure that we've got them kind of, that we're thinking about them as well. Having a clear policy that sets out what you will do to keep young people safe whilst they're with your organisation, and having an identified safeguarding lead, so somebody who is responsible for that policy and who will kind of update it, make sure that what is contained within that policy is then carried across to the work that your organisation is doing. In terms of reporting, having clear mechanisms for what you would do if a disclosure were made, or if somebody had a concern, or if a young person had contact with somebody and they had a concern, and then having the training in place so that everybody understands their role and how that reporting mechanism works, because it's very much down to every single person within an organisation to make sure that safeguarding is working. So you need to make sure that everybody is on board and knows kind of how to follow up if something does come up. And reviewing things. So having set points when you will review your policies and procedures, but also updating them if there's any kind of changes to the law or identified improvements in practice. And that might just be, sometimes it can come about due to feedback. Something that works well, say at one library, may not work so well at another library. So we're always looking for that feedback about how things are going, so that we can update things if there's something that needs changing. So continually reviewing things. And then in terms of local support, obviously, if you have something that's a serious safeguarding concern, there's numerous ways in which you can report it. Most people would immediately think of the police, but if it's something where you want to get some advice, you're not quite sure if it is a police matter, the multi-agency safeguarding hub are a body that's based at County Hall. They're within Norfolk County Council, but they work, as the name suggests, they work with all the different agencies. So they'll be working with doctors, they'll be working with the police, anybody that's kind of a public service or a statutory service. Any concern that is raised goes through to the multi-agency safeguarding hub, and they then are able to put together kind of the picture of what might be happening for an individual, if they've had previous reports, and they can advise on the best way to kind of move things forward.